we ready, Lynn?
Just about.
Okay.
See the red light.
We're on. Alright, we'll go ahead and call the November 25th Finance and Administration Committee meeting to order. And welcome everyone here. We again don't have anybody here from the public, so we will not have any public comments, presentation and discussion items, update on current projects.
There's nothing really to hit on here except that we believe that before we meet again or very close to it with this committee, that the rehab contractor should be about finished with their work, at least the substantial completion portion of it.
Bond number.
Yes, so they may have some cleanup work. I know they've got some site stabilization that they have to go back and take care of, but they believe they'll have all of the all the relining the lining of the pipes been complete. There's one section that I think they're talking with the engineer about where the liner was about 10 feet short, how to go about fixing that. They believe that they'll complete the manhole rehab portion of it by December 12th. And then there'll just be some continuous punch list cleanup type work after that. At least that's what their hope is. But I think looking at the weather next week, looks like there's a chance for a pretty good bit of rain. At least that's what it showed yesterday. So I don't know if that probably will impact their ability. But
Have you seen what they've done on the right of ways with their mats and things?
I have not. I haven't been out there. I haven't seen them gone out there in a long time. Michael with us is going out there regularly.
We were checking some on our side and just noticed, I mean, they built a pallet road is what it looks like. And just being nosy, we were on side by side and probably for a mile.
Really?
There's a lot of mats out there.
Yeah, I know they wish they would have done that from the start, like a good many of these areas. I think there are a couple of small updates that I've made to this since I put this together last Friday. Senator Creek, Forest Main, messaged with the engineer yesterday, and he's hoping that maybe next week that they're going to be requesting a letter from us to submit to DES, stating that we'll own, operate, and maintain the system as it's been, or that line as it's been installed. I think they've completed the pressure test. We went out and witnessed that. It was fine. They're working on the record drawings currently. But any questions?
I think you've already answered it, but since you brought up the skip one, I was looking at that one, and the very last part of the notes got cut off. Not sure if there was gonna be substantial completion, or is that what that was? Normally I wouldn't have cared, it just says not sure if, so maybe wonder.
Yeah, I don't know what that one, what it would have said.
Okay. It's fine, I just,
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
normally I don't go
part
into
is-
that much detail during the meeting.
Yeah, I guess the part that shows up on the screen, it shows the
It
whole
shows
thing in the
everything,
box.
Yeah,
So,
these get emailed, I'll just,
But-
that's fine.
another thing too with that, well, what you're gonna be emailed is exactly,
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
PDF of this.
I'll just,
But
okay, it's true.
it's been updated. This is one I updated following we have a weekly meeting yesterday, so that was when I got the update as to when they estimated they should be complete. So everything should be, like I
Well,
deleted the very first comment to make room for everything else to move up,
Yeah.
so.
well, and you just shared what was going on with that, so I'm sure it wasn't anything else.
They said they have 5 crews working on manhole rehab right now.
We've heard a lot of work going on over there. They've been busy, making a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
So they've been there.
Well, they started off with 1 crew and now they're up to 5, trying again,
Get everything done.
they can't get caught up because they've already missed the date for completion, but
Yeah.
just trying to get it finished.
Good deal.
Any other questions, comments, on any of the projects going on? Reconstitution's still moving right along. Actually with that, since it's on the list, did we, I didn't check the agenda, did the other two jurisdictions approve the resolution yet?
No, I know that Lawrence has spoken with West Union's attorney, Mary McCormick, I believe is her name. I believe they did speak last week, but I don't have any update on what they discussed, where they were with it. And then I think that the agenda items the county took up, I'm trying to think, they took up
And Mr. Hart's gonna be
placing
the.
Mr. Hart on the committee,
Yes.
and then the second reading of the repeal of the sewer use ordinance
Okay,
passed. So that'll go up for third reading at the next meeting, I'm assuming, which I guess their agenda may be coming out today or tomorrow, right? Because they'll have a
Mhm.
meeting day after ours, on December 2nd, if their schedules, the regular meeting schedule for them. But I watched the meeting, but I don't recall that being discussed.
I haven't seen anything.
I did email it.
Figured they would.
Yeah, I emailed it following our last meeting, and when Mr. Hart and Mr. Durham were here, I did send it to them, but I haven't I haven't heard anything, no feedback.
Committee action items, so the October and year-to-date financial reports.
In your package, you see the monthly financial reports. I don't think there's anything really noteworthy in there right now. The next one should be a little bit different, assuming that the very next item gets approved by the committee and then ultimately by the board, as it should, because we've already cut the check and sent the money to Oconee County to make them whole with the grant, fronting the grant money. So there should be a supplemental budget. There's one that's already been incorporated in this one, correct? For supplemental budget one, and the second one
Second one.
is what we'll be considering in a moment.
Are there any questions, comments? Is there a motion to accept as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And none opposed. Okay, action items to recommend to the board. So the supplemental budget number 2.
Right, in your packet, today, Exhibit C includes the supplemental budget request I was just speaking of. The only change to this would be for that return of $198,664, give or take a few pennies. And that check, again, we've already submitted that to Oconee County. On the flip side of that request is the accompanying letter from the accountant that states or confirms the amount to refund. And I'll put a couple of notes to the left of it showing what the total refund is. The first of which was the supplemental budget number 1, and then this one as well if it's approved. So, with that being said, that I do recommend that this be approved as submitted to go to the board.
And this should take care of that.
Correct, right?
Yeah, that's the
Maintenance.
final, it's done.
It's done, okay. Is there a motion to recommend approval, or deny, whichever one, to the board?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
Alright, are there any questions, concerns, queries? Anything? Alright. All those in favor, please say aye. Alright. That will move on to
Can
the.
I ask a clarification, is that an approval or is that
Recommendation
recommendation
to the
to the
board.
board? Okay, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, all these items here for recommendation to go to the board for approval. Clear this committee and then gets on the board agenda.
Okay. Well, the financial we do, and then
Correct.
these other two, yeah. And that'll be on December 1st.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So next up, to recommend to the board the calendar for next year. Did take a moment to look at this earlier. Did anybody have any concerns about any of the dates coming up? Pretty soon, we're pretty much already hitting every color of the rainbow. I don't know what we're gonna do if we had any more meetings.
So I will say, you know, we'll go ahead and state on this is listed that the January meeting will be at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So assuming that whatever gets approved, I'm assuming there's gonna be a recommendation to change that to accommodate Westminster's request to move that to, I believe it's 5 p.m. start and then a 6 p.m. start. So that is something that would need to be changed. This calendar also, and this a plan going forward, I think Seneca's Christmas parade is always the first Monday of December. So
Yeah.
we figure we'll go ahead and make that a kind of a permanent thing and move it to 2 p.m. So, and we've already made that change for next week, but we'll just go ahead and make that a permanent inclusion. But yeah, that, we are running out of colors on here and just trying, because I've got a good friend of mine that's colorblind, so he wouldn't be able to know what was what, so I've got to go and list it on the bottom as well, so. So, you know, if there's any questions or concerns, you know, of course, make them known, but again, I think that, you know, suggest making that change to the January 5th meeting to 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. And then it's already shown for the commissioner's December meeting.
Do we need to go ahead and recommend approval to do the 5 and 6?
Yeah, I would,
So it's done, and that way this can be updated
I
for the
would,
board?
yeah, I would, you know, I guess the easiest thing to do would recommend that approve and as submitted with the modification that the January 5th meeting changed to 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. for the annual members meeting.
I assume to accommodate the council members who come on.
That's well, it's, in this case, Westminster has their council's being sworn in. Is it at 4 o'clock? I believe that's what Mr. Bronson said.
Correct.
Their
Okay.
city council's being sworn in at 4 p.m., so this allows them to make the 5 p.m. meeting.
Ours will be January 2nd, so we'll have our new people as well. All right. Would anyone care to make a motion to recommend with the modification on the January meeting?
So,
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, so just so we have it clear, it is the 2026 calendar as presented with the 5 and 6 change on the January meeting. All right, any other changes, proposals, discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
I,
All right, none opposed. Moving right along. Director's discussion, compliance matters. Do we have any?
The only item that I'm gonna mention here, and it's just something really I'd like to get a little bit of feedback from, you know, in this case, two cities, since Mr. Riches isn't here, I can at least find out from you guys if you know. I know you'll know for sure. But we, you know, back when we were putting the budget together for this year, we included our, you know, it was time for a compensation study again. We've had a number, and I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how many, but it was a considerable number we've had that have left us over that year's time for jobs elsewhere, and I think bulk of them have been, if maybe even all of them possibly, Ms. Stevens will know this, as she does the exit interviews, but they're, have been for pay elsewhere. And well, I figure we're gonna, as part of this, we're gonna look at doing kind of an employee, I don't know what you call it, employee satisfaction survey or engagement survey is I think how it's termed, with the ones that we currently have now to look at us internally, like what would it take to have the staff stay to the point of retiring from this, from working here. And while I have not gotten the results of the full survey, and it's looking collectively at the entire agency, I did want to go ahead and ask them for feedback on one of the questions, and this has to do only with the maintenance staff and the collection system staff. That in the summertime, we have modified our work schedule to allow them to be able to get out of the heat a little earlier. They start during those months at 7 a.m. instead of 8 and finish at 4. And they like that schedule to the point where they would like for it to be year round. The reason why we didn't consider it a number of years ago was because we had at least one person that, employee that had to take care of children, getting them ready for school. So if we decided if one person couldn't do it, it didn't fit their schedule, that we weren't going to allow it to be done by anybody, because our office hours is stated, obviously on the door, it says we are 8 to 5. So I don't know if this is something that would ultimately have to go to the board or not, because it would be modifying the entire work schedule for those folks. But the feedback we received from them, all 7 that had responded, which is, makes up those 2 departments right now prior to filling them, some of the vacancies since the survey was done, all stated that they wanted a 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. workday, 5 days a week. So I was wondering what with Walhalla and Westminster, what do you guys do with your field folks in that same?
We do have a couple of departments that have a modified schedule for those same reasons, as far as getting out of the heat. Now, lots of times in the winter time, depending on how dark it is, and if they can actually get out and do some stuff, then they use their own discretion of when they can actually do the job. But also, if it's out being in the street or doing some other things, they have to take school traffic into account, and when all the businesses open, and whether they can actually get on Main Street because there's parking spots or not. So we do allow that. I know some of our guys even come in as early as 6.
Same with our electric guys, they're in at 7. That's year round. Some of the sanitation guys are coming in at 6, running routes and things like that. It just makes it easier.
I support it. Anything we can do within reason to help make them happy, and that's can be an easy fix of making that modification. So of course I'll support it. So I may bring this up. I'm not sure that I'll bring it up as an agenda item or for consideration, or just to discuss. It may be a discussion, and if the board feels they need to make that approval for them to change. Now, the treatment plant operators, they have a different schedule altogether, and they always have. They used to do 12-hour shifts to cover the full 24 hours, and we staffed the place 365 days a year for every hour of the day, back until we were able to get monitoring and alarm equipment several years ago. So, but they do still have a modified schedule that allows them to do. We have weekend and holiday coverage built in and have some time, they'll have some days off during the week, and that schedule will rotate, but it's more of the everyday maintenance and collection system folks that this would involve. And there may be times that, because some of these guys help do some of the field inspection work for jobs that may go beyond 4 o'clock, it may be that we would have to modify or extend the workday for them in those cases, which may mean the potential for overtime or just work weeks at the end. And, we just do not have the staffing, we don't have the number of people to be able to provide, a true alternate type of a work schedule, or we could do 4-10s or, any other type of shift. Speaking with Kyle, he doesn't feel comfortable with it, not at this current time, especially when, we can't stay fully staffed. But, maybe something that we would visit down the road if we're able to have retention, but we would have to make sure that we have some overlap. I'd love for us to be able to keep the front office open during lunchtime, where, because people may want to come in and take care of a permit or some type of matter like that during their lunch break. But we just don't even have the means to be able to do that on, most days.
Well, I will say, just keep in the back of your head what you are going to need, because as we move forward with this reconstitution, if there is a consolidation, there's going to be a lot more work, and there's going to be a lot more people coming to visit. So, what does that staffing plan look like for y'all?
Right, and I have, none of that's gonna be part of the items that would have to be looked at. That's one of the things that's been discussed in the consideration with the technical evaluation, is what the staffing would be if there is the consolidation. But really, I'm not gonna worry myself too much about that. But, I was just talking with, I believe it was Allison yesterday, that, really, we're public servants, and we need to be able to do as an agency all we can to make it convenient for those that would come in at any given time. But, again, you got Ms. Stevens and Ms. Kelly up front, and if one of, say we did do a split lunch for them, one, 11:30 to 12:30, 12:30 to 1:30 or something like that. Well, then if one of them happens to be sick, and we can't, then you're starting to pull staff in to have to cover the phones and front office, and it's just too difficult to do. We've gone, we're gonna, in a way, have a little bit of that matter tomorrow, because both of them are off, I'm off, so we're having to try to find somebody to cover the phones and front office all day. So,
Probably going to get some sympathy after somebody else has to answer phones, right?
yeah. So, I'd love to be able to do that at some point down the road, and that's one of the things that I had thought for years and years, since 2017 when I started, as ways we could possibly keep the front office open from 12 to 1, but no matter what I think of, I keep coming back to reasons why we can't really do it without it having potential severe impacts on
You gotta put your
others.
staff first, too.
And that's the only item that I have.
Is there any discussion among the committee members? Anything that we feel like we need to bring up at a future meeting, or we need to ask the board to look at? All right, so we will meet again on December 16th. Does that work, at least for the majority? I think it does. Yeah, let's really have it checked. Let's count this was. All right. If there is no other business, Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.